Welcome to Susan's Garden. I'm going to show you today Clivia, which is a flower that I've grown when I lived here in California. It has a unique cluster of flowers above a stalk and then some beautiful leaves below that are usually either dark green or this variegated look that I've created with the yellow variety. The two colors that I do like, although it does come in shades in between, are this beautiful coral color or the yellow as I've done on the sample here. So either way, it's a beautiful flower to add to your bouquet. Let's get started. The dies all come in the set, in the seed packet. You've got the flower pieces, the stamen, and 2 leaves. Now what I do to create a base is use a styrofoam ball. This is a 1.5 inch styrofoam ball that I have cut in half. And you can either dab on some paint, as I've done, just to seal that polystyrene, because it does absorb the glue, and otherwise if you don't seal it. You can also cut with one of your framelit rounds some mulberry paper, and you could glue that over the ball, and I've done that before several times, tucking it in and creating a base. That's where your flowers are going to go. Because they set up in a cluster, this gives that look that you want. So for ease of today, we're going to do it just a painted piece. Now I've already sealed this one, and you notice I've already added the leaves. So let's talk about the leaves a little bit. These are variegated, and if you want to get that look, you're going to have to do them on either cream paper or white, and use some kind of pen like a Copic marker to streak it and give it the look. I've done, with the coral color that I'm doing today, I'm using the dark green leaf, and I'm going to put it on my leaf pad, and using my leaf tool, I'm going to draw a line down the center and give it a stem line. I'm also going to bend up a little bit and add a little bit of highlight with the pan pastel, just to accentuate that stem line. Now you can use your tweezers to pinch the end, and then you can also bend out the outer part if you like. Now the leaves need to be done first, because I like to place the base onto my project. Now this is just a little square, but if it was one of your a beautiful box you were making as a gift, go ahead and place it, and then you want to be able to put your leaves around and tuck them under. So once they're in place, we can work on the flowers. Now the flowers are in 2 parts, because you have 6 petals and there's 3 larger and 3 smaller. I've taken these and highlighted the centers just to give it a little bit more definition, and that's nothing more than using the pan pastels and shading up onto the flower on my non-stick pad. Once you've done that, then you can set it on your mat, and then these have been shaped using the loop tool, and I've simply just always stroke from the larger end to a smaller center. If you pull back the other way, you're likely to tear, because that's the weaker end. So using the larger end of the loop tool and pulling from the larger end of the petal towards the middle, we're going to shape all around both pieces, as I've done with here. Now if you look carefully, you can see some detail lines, and the way I've achieved that is using the leaf tool. So I place it on my leaf pad, and just a few little lines pressing down, that gives you the definition that you need and the detail that you want. Back on the molding pad, and using either the medium ball, or you can go either to the smaller ball for the smaller petals, you're going to cup them. And I'm going to press down on each one and get them to set up a bit. Now back onto the non-stick pad, again we don't want to get any glue over there. Using a toothpick, let's apply a small amount of glue to the underside of that smaller petal. And if you can use the leaf tool end, or you can use your tweezers, hold that larger end flower in place, and you can place that littler petal right in the center. Offset your petals, as I've done here, with the smaller ones in between the larger ones. Now here's my base. The way I have set them in place is I've taken, this is a little odd, but go with me here. I've taken the leaf tool because it's got a point, and I've poked it into the styrofoam all the way to the end to the brown there, and even twisted a bit. So I don't know if you can see it in there, but I have created a hole. Now I have it on a base, so I'm not going to worry too much right now. But if I take and add glue right into that hole, and you can dab, you know, quite a bit there because you want to hold the flower. I'm going to place that flower, and while I hold it, I'm going to use the small end of the tool and poke it right in so it locks it into place. That's what gives it the look that it's growing out like a cluster. Now you would continue around like I've done on this one. You can even fill in the top, or you can do some extra stamens and add it to replicate flowers that haven't bloomed yet. But to create the stamen that you see that's gone in here, I'm going to use my scissors, and I'm going to cut each one of those filaments in half to make them a little thinner. And again, if you look at that, it's got a tab end. If you take your tweezer and hold that tab, you're going to roll towards the opposite end and stopping just short of it. Add a little bit of glue right there and continue the roll and seal it. Maybe twisting it around a few times. Remove your tweezers, and while you hold the pinch, just go ahead and see how I'm fanning it out. That gives it the look of the stamen. Now you can hold on to it, and let's dip it right into the glue. I'm just lightly dabbing into that glued area. If you can see how I've done the end. It's not overly filled with glue, but just lightly. And then I'm going to bring in my, my pollen and dip it right into that. You can tap it, and you've got a finished stamen. Now to place it on the flower, and each one does get a stamen, I transfer my stamen to my tweezers. I'm going to dip it in the end, and on that newly pressed flower, I'm going to add it into the center. Now you would continue all the way around as I've done with the finished one here, adding flowers. You can fill in the top if yours is completely bloomed, or you can take a few extra of the, here's another of the stamens, and you can just glue in some stamens, also making little holes into the center of the styrofoam there, and add some look of the petals that haven't yet bloomed. And that's a clivia that's found in many border gardens.